Have you ever felt a subtle disconnect from the world around you? A feeling that what you see, what you're told, isn't the entire story. It's like watching a play where the actors are convincing, the stage is set, but something essential remains hidden just beyond the lights. This quiet sense of unease, of searching for something more, is a deeply human experience. We navigate our days, often on autopilot, accepting the narratives handed to us by our culture, our media, even our own habits of thought. But what if these accepted realities are merely reflections, like shadows dancing on a wall? What if the truth of our existence, our potential, lies beyond this familiar, comfortable darkness? This question isn't new. It's as old as philosophy itself. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, over 2,000 years ago, explored this very idea. He presented a powerful metaphor to describe humanity's relationship with truth and illusion, the allegory of the cave. It's a story that challenges us to consider the very nature of our perceived reality and asks a profound question. Are you living in a shadow world? Imagine, Plato says, a group of people born and raised in a deep, dimly lit cave. They are chained in such a way that they can only face a flat wall in front of them. They have never seen the sun, nor the world outside. Their entire reality is confined to this subterranean chamber, this limited view. Behind these prisoners, unbeknownst to them, a fire burns, and between the fire and the prisoners, there's a raised path. Along this path, puppeteers walk, carrying statues and figures of animals, plants, and various objects. The fire casts the shadows of these objects onto the wall the prisoners are facing. For the prisoners, these flickering shadows are reality. They are the only things they have ever known. They hear echoes of the puppeteers' voices, mistaking them for sounds made by the shadows themselves. They name the shadows, discuss their movements, and believe them to be the true forms of things. Think about our own world. How often do we accept the shadows presented to us? The curated images on social media, the simplified narratives in news headlines, the expectations set by society. Are these the full picture, or are they just convenient, filtered projections of a more complex truth? The prisoners in Plato's cave are not necessarily unintelligent. They develop systems, even a kind of science, around understanding the patterns of the shadows. They might even hold competitions, rewarding those who are quickest to identify and predict the sequence of these fleeting images. Their intellect is applied, but to a fundamentally limited reality. This doesn't mean the shadows are entirely false. They are, after all, reflections of something. But they are not the source. They are second-hand, distorted, and incomplete. Relying solely on them is like trying to understand a magnificent sculpture by only looking at its faint silhouette. The puppeteers in Plato's allegory are those who control the objects that cast the shadows. They could represent various forces in our lives: tradition, culture, authority figures, media producers, or even our own internal biases that shape the information we receive and consequently our perception of reality. These puppeteers may not always be malicious. Some might be unaware of the full truth themselves, simply passing on the shadows they were taught. Others might intentionally shape the narrative for control or gain. The key is that the prisoners are unaware of their existence and influence. The chains that bind the prisoners represent the limitations that keep us from seeking a broader perspective. These could be fear, dogma, comfort zones, intellectual laziness, or the social pressure to conform. These chains are often invisible, forged by habit and accepted without question. Now Plato asks us to imagine what would happen if one of these prisoners were suddenly freed. His chains are broken, and he is forced to stand up and turn around. For the first time, he sees the fire. The light is blinding, painful to eyes accustomed only to shadows. He would be confused. The objects casting the shadows, the actual statues, would seem less real than the shadows he had known his whole life. If someone told him that these statues were more real than the shadows, he would likely disbelieve them. His entire worldview is being challenged. This initial stage of awakening is often uncomfortable, even terrifying. It involves questioning deeply held beliefs, the very foundations of our understanding. It's easier to retreat to the familiar darkness, to the comfort of the known illusions, than to face the painful glare of a new, unsettling truth. But suppose he is then forcibly dragged, Plato says, up a steep and rugged ascent, out of the cave entirely and into the world above. This journey is arduous and painful. Every step is a struggle against the pull of the familiar, the desire to return to the deceptive comfort of the cave. This steep ascent represents the difficult process of education, of genuine learning and critical thinking. It requires effort, persistence, and the courage to confront uncomfortable realities. It's not a passive reception of information, but an active, often challenging, pursuit of understanding. When the prisoner finally emerges from the cave into the sunlight, he is completely overwhelmed. His eyes, accustomed to the dim light of the cave, cannot bear the brilliance of the sun. He would be blinded, unable to see any of the realities of the upper world. Gradually, his eyes would adjust. First, he might be able to see only shadows in the upper world, then reflections in water, then the objects themselves, the trees, the animals, the stars, the moon. He would realize these are the true forms, and the things in the cave were mere imitations. Eventually, he would be able to look upon the sun itself. In Plato's Allegory, the sun represents the form of the good, the ultimate source of all truth, reality, and knowledge. It illuminates everything, allowing us to see things as they truly are. This encounter with the sun is a profound philosophical insight. It's the moment of genuine understanding, where the interconnectedness of things becomes clear and the principles underlying reality are grasped. It's a state of enlightenment, of seeing beyond mere appearances. Consider those moments in your own life when a profound realization dawned on you, a moment when a complex problem suddenly became clear, or you understood a deeper truth about yourself or the world. These are small echoes of that journey towards the light, towards a more authentic understanding. Having seen the truth and reality of the upper world, the freed prisoner would pity his former companions still trapped in the cave. He would remember their honors and praises for shadow-gazing and realize how meaningless they were compared to true knowledge. He would feel compelled to return to the cave, to share his discovery with the others. He would want to free them from their ignorance and show them the path to the true world outside. This is the responsibility that often comes with knowledge, the desire to enlighten others. However, re-entering the cave, his eyes, now accustomed to the bright sunlight, would struggle to see in the dimness. He would appear clumsy and inept to the other prisoners. He wouldn't be able to discern the shadows as well as they could anymore. When he tries to tell them about the world outside, about the sun and the true forms of things, they would think he was mad. They would say his journey had ruined his eyesight and his mind. They might even mock him, unable to comprehend what he describes. Why this resistance? Because the prisoner's entire reality, their sense of identity and achievement, is built upon the world of shadows. To accept the returned prisoner's account would mean admitting their own lives were based on illusion, a deeply unsettling and threatening prospect. Plato suggests that if the returned prisoner tried to free others and lead them out of the cave, they might even try to kill him. People can become so attached to their chains, to their familiar illusions, that they violently resist anyone who tries to take them away. This part of the allegory is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by truth-tellers, reformers, and those who dare to question the status quo. Galileo, Socrates, and countless others faced persecution for challenging the shadows of their time. The path of enlightenment can be a lonely and dangerous one. So what does Plato's allegory mean for us, living in the 21st century? The cave can represent many things: our comfort zones, our echo chambers on social media, unquestioned cultural norms, limiting beliefs about ourselves and our potential, or even a purely materialistic worldview. The shadows are the superficial information, the sound bites, the carefully curated images, the distractions that keep us from deeper inquiry. They are the easy answers that prevent us from asking the hard questions. They can be comforting, but ultimately unfulfilling. To begin the journey out of the cave is to cultivate critical thinking. It means questioning assumptions, your own and those presented by others. It means asking why and says WHO, and what if the opposite is true? It's about becoming an active seeker of knowledge, not a passive recipient. The chains can be our fear of being different, of being ridiculed or ostracized for holding unpopular opinions. They can be the comfort of conformity, the ease of not having to think too hard. Breaking these chains requires courage and a willingness to stand apart. The fire in the cave, casting the initial light, could be seen as a preliminary stage of awareness, perhaps the conventional wisdom or dominant ideologies of our society. It's a light, yes, but not the ultimate source of illumination. It's still within the confines of the cave. The pain of seeing the fire and then the sun represents the discomfort of intellectual and spiritual growth. Real learning, real change, often involves letting go of cherished beliefs, admitting we were wrong and embracing uncertainty. This process can be disorienting but is essential for progress. The steep ascent is the deliberate effort we must make. It's reading books that challenge us, engaging in conversations with people who hold different views, practicing introspection and mindfulness, and seeking experiences that broaden our horizons. It's not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Who are the puppeteers in our modern world? They can be advertisers shaping our desires, political strategists crafting narratives, algorithms filtering our information, or even well-intentioned educators and parents passing on their own conditioned beliefs. Recognizing their influence is a key step. The world outside the cave is the realm of deeper understanding, of authentic experience, of connection to a larger reality. It's where we find genuine meaning, purpose, and freedom. It's a state of being more fully alive and aware. The sun in this context is not just intellectual knowledge, but a holistic understanding that integrates heart and mind. It's wisdom, compassion, and a sense of interconnectedness with all things. It's the ultimate source of clarity and inner peace. So how can you start to identify the shadows in your own life? Begin by observing your thoughts and beliefs without judgment. Where did they come from? Are they truly yours, or have they been absorbed unconsciously from your environment? Notice what makes you uncomfortable or defensive. Often, strong emotional reactions to new ideas can signal that a cherished shadow is being challenged. This discomfort can be a doorway to deeper insight if you're willing to explore it. Seek out diverse perspectives. Actively listen to people with different backgrounds and viewpoints. Read books and watch content that challenges your current understanding. Step outside your intellectual and social comfort zones. This is like deliberately trying to see beyond the cave wall. Practice mindfulness and introspection. Regular quiet contemplation can help you distinguish between the noise of the external world and your own inner truth. It's about creating space to see what is, rather than what you're told is. Be wary of echo chambers. Social media algorithms and curated news feeds often show us more of what we already believe, reinforcing our existing shadows. Make an effort to break out of these filter bubbles and expose yourself to a wider range of information. Understand that this journey is ongoing. There isn't a final destination called enlightenment where all questions cease. Rather, it's a continuous process of questioning, learning, growing, and refining our understanding of reality. Each step out of a smaller cave might reveal a larger one. The value of this journey isn't just about acquiring correct information. It's about developing wisdom, the ability to apply knowledge in a way that leads to a more fulfilling, ethical, and meaningful life. It's about becoming a more conscious, compassionate, and free individual. Don't be discouraged by the resistance you might encounter. either from within yourself or from others. Remember the allegory. Those still in the cave cannot easily comprehend the world outside. Approach them and your own resistance with patience and compassion. The choice, ultimately, is yours. You can remain in the comfortable familiarity of the cave, accepting the shadows as your reality. Or you can embark on the challenging, sometimes painful, but profoundly liberating journey towards the light of truer understanding. Living outside the shadow world means living more authentically. It means aligning your actions with your deepest values and understanding, rather than conforming to external pressures or illusions. It's a path towards genuine self-possession and integrity. It also fosters a deeper connection to others. When we see beyond superficialities, we can connect with the shared humanity in everyone, even those with whom we disagree. True understanding leads to empathy, not judgment. Plato's allegory isn't just a historical artifact. It's a timeless mirror reflecting our own condition. It urges us to examine the caves we inhabit, whether they are cultural, intellectual, emotional, or digital. The call to awaken is perennial. Consider the information you consume daily. How much of it is surface level, designed to grab attention rather than inform deeply? How much encourages passive acceptance versus active critical thought? These are the modern shadows. The comfort of the cave can be very seductive. It's the comfort of not having to question, of belonging, of having simple answers. But this comfort often comes at the price of our own growth and freedom. True fulfillment rarely resides in the easiest path. One of the first steps in leaving the cave is simply developing the awareness that you might be in one. This very act of questioning, am I living in a shadow world, is a flicker of light, a potential loosening of the chains. The journey is not about rejecting the world but seeing it more clearly. It's not about escaping life, but engaging with it on a deeper, more meaningful level. The philosopher seeks not to leave the world but to understand it and their place within it. What small step can you take today to broaden your perspective? Perhaps it's reading an article from a source you usually ignore, or truly listening to someone with a different belief, or simply spending a few minutes in quiet reflection, questioning one assumption. The shadows often promise certainty, but true wisdom embraces nuance and acknowledges complexity. Life is rarely black and white. The pursuit of truth involves navigating shades of gray and being comfortable with not having all the answers. Think of education not just as acquiring facts, but as learning how to think. It's about developing the tools of discernment, logic, and empathy. This is the equipment needed for the steep ascent out of any cave. The responsibility of the enlightened, as Plato saw it, was to return and help others. This doesn't mean forcing your views, but rather sharing your perspective, asking guiding questions, and embodying the change you wish to see. This allegory empowers us because it suggests that liberation is possible. The chains can be broken, the ascent can be made. It requires courage, effort, and a persistent desire for what is true and real beyond the superficial. So the question remains, are you content with the shadows? Or do you feel a pull towards something more, a yearning for the light? The path begins with honest self-reflection. What parts of your perceived reality feel unquestioned, perhaps even unexamined? Consider one belief you hold strongly. Try, just for a moment, to argue passionately for the opposite. This isn't about abandoning your belief, but about understanding its foundations, its alternatives, and the strength of your own conviction when tested. It stretches your mind. The shadow world can also be internal, our limiting self-beliefs, our fears, our past conditionings. Shining the light of awareness on these inner shadows is a crucial part of the journey. What stories do you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of? Engaging with philosophy, with great thinkers like Plato, isn't just an academic exercise. It's a way to gain tools for living, perspectives that can transform your experience of life. These ideas are invitations to a deeper engagement with your own existence. Remember, the prisoners who mocked the one who returned did so out of fear and ignorance. When you choose to seek a broader reality, you may encounter resistance. Let your own clarity and compassion be your guide, not the need for external validation. The light of truth, as Plato envisioned it, isn't harsh or judgmental. It's illuminating, revealing, and ultimately liberating. It allows us to see the beauty and complexity of what is, beyond our preconceived notions and fears. This journey out of the cave is not about achieving perfection, but about embracing growth. It's about choosing curiosity over certainty, courage over comfort, and awareness over apathy. Every small act of questioning is a step towards the light. Plato's allegory of the cave is a powerful reminder that our perception is not always reality. It challenges us to be brave, to question, to seek, and ultimately to live more consciously and authentically. The shadows lose their power when we dare to turn towards the light. The world is full of wonders and truths far beyond the confines of any single perspective. By cultivating an open mind and a courageous heart, we can continually expand our understanding and experience a richer, more illuminated existence. The journey itself is the reward. So ask yourself today, in what ways might I be looking at shadows? And what is one step, however small, I can take towards a fuller, more authentic light? The answers may surprise you, and the path they reveal is uniquely yours to explore. Plato's timeless story isn't a condemnation, but an invitation to examine the cave of our assumptions, the shadows of our daily inputs, and the chains of our own unquestioned habits. It's a call to intellectual and spiritual adventure. The core message is one of liberation through awareness. By daring to question what seems obvious, by seeking understanding beyond the superficial, we unlock the potential for a life lived in greater freedom, clarity, and alignment with deeper truths. This is the philosopher's journey, available to us all.